Hello, everyone. Welcome to Norton Reviews. I'm John Norton, your host, and we are going to look at Wolverine number 100. Get the fuck out of here, Rusty. As soon as I start the camera, he decides he needs to, lay down. So, Wolverine number 100. Let's take a look, see if we can look at this foil cover, or whatever you call this. Like, there's Wolverine, but if you change it a little bit... Oh, see his skeleton there? So, what was going on in this comic? Well, I'll tell you. I'm going to change the lighting a little bit. So, because I have this overhead light, but it leaves this weird glare right here that's really annoying. So if I turn that off, it shouldn't be there. But Wolverine 100. So ever since Wolverine number 75, Wolverine has not had his adamantium in his body, right? Ripped out by Magneto in X-Men number 25. And then you find out Wolverine 75 that he has bone claws. So he left the X-Men at that point. Was on his own for a while. He came back, I want to say, in Wolverine number 90. My brother Robert and I reviewed that issue, which was a pretty good issue where he fought Sabretooth. And that was right before the Age of Apocalypse started. So the next 10 issues or so are leading up to this number 100. And all roads and signs were leading to the conclusion that he was finally going to get his adamantium back. Which we were just like, thank God. I mean, it's kind of a cool, interesting concept. And you can't take, it was a cool event to take his adamantium away, and Wolverine still is defined by his claws, more or less, so still needs those things. But you want him to have the metal. So there was a bunch of stuff going on. I don't remember everything, but he essentially got captured, and he got captured by this asshole whose name is Genesis. This guy. So let's before we get into that. Does it say anything here? No, it doesn't really. But you see Wolverine strapped to something. Adam Kubert art, right? He does some crazy stuff. Weird proportions sometimes, but he does it in a very interesting way, and I really like his art. I've been looking at a lot of Adam Kubert stuff lately. I mean, that's kind of funny, that weird perspective from these bubbles. So, as far as I know, last issue, Wolverine got abducted, right? And there he is in a Bacta tank, essentially. And this guy is talking, what are they saying here? It is suffering beyond comprehension, agony on a molecular level, but he will endure. Yeah, he was transported to a universe consisting wholly of pain. But he's certain of it because it is his destiny. Wolverine is, after all, a survivor. So, their intention here is to put the adamantium back into Wolverine. Why? Well, let's find out. Who are these guys? This guy, his name is Genesis. I don't know where he came from, or no, that's not Genesis, that's some girl. Is she wearing just a swimsuit? Where he came from, but essentially this guy is a servant of Apocalypse. And he is also the grown-up son of Cable. Right? Tyler is his name. But whatever reason, whatever's going on, I don't know why. He's evil here, and he's serving Apocalypse, and he wants to put the adamantium back into Wolverine. And he says later, somewhere back here, he also wants to bring Apocalypse back to life. And he wants to make Wolverine into one of his horsemen, Death. Now that's interesting because about 50 issues later, or is it 25? 125. I think it's issue 150 is when he actually gets his adamantium back. Spoilers. But he gets his adamantium back in the same process that they're trying to do here, by becoming a horseman of death. It was Apocalypse who gave him his adamantium back and made him a horseman of death. But so that's what's all going on here. That's essentially what these villains are doing. They got Wolverine. They have some adamantium from somewhere. You can't just go pick it up at a fucking grocery store. But they got some adamantium. They're going to put it in Wolverine. They're going to make him a horseman of death. So he's in the back to tank. And shit's just going on, science-y shit, right? They're talking villain stuff. So he has the Dark Riders, who are servants of Apocalypse. I will make this one whole again, and he shall be the first horseman. Unbeknownst to you, their fate was sealed the moment Magneto drew the metal from your body. Without the adamantium, you were doomed to degenerate into a howling beast. So he was becoming more animalistic, I guess. Some mindless, gibbering thing with fell appetites and sanguine passions. Jesus. But by this metal, you should be transformed again. You, the only mutant on the face of the planet who could survive the bonding process. Well, I bet Sabretooth would say something about that shit. I mean, Bullseye also has it, but how he doesn't have a mutant healing factor. And it's like, survive. You are the ultimate survivor, and you're fit to be a paladin to he who shall return. He who shall return is Apocalypse. So they're just telling him all the bad guy shit. But someone is watching from up above, and they're like, we should jump down there. We need to save Wolverine. Like, no, we need to bide our time. We're just going to get our asses whooped. And it's Cannonball. He has been, I guess, part of the X-Men lately, and he's been kind of like a little sidekick to Wolverine in the last 10 issues or so. Wants to be his buddy, you know, like Wolverine has always had like a younger person who he's kind of like latched onto, or they've latched onto them, you know, Kitty Pryde, Jubilee, now it's Cannonball. And then there's this girl. Who is she? I'm the Expediter. She's somebody. I don't care. All right, so a big place where Apocalypse is sleeping, all these tombs and crypts, or sarcophagi. They're going to bring Apocalypse back. So Apocalypse is probably in this tomb, or sarcophagus, right? All right, so they're talking. We got to do something. Why is he trying to bust out? Is there anything left of him inside his head? It's like impossible to tell. Let's see. Oh my God, so many words. So much like stupid bullshit. I'm just going to read this so you can understand what I have to go through sometimes. I've been monitoring his feral regression, studying all the research papers pertinent to his condition in the different time continuums and 7 spatial dimensions. Okay, what are you talking about? Backtrack just a bit. Just where and when are you from? Irrelevant questions. Suffice to say, I'm an agent of Lando, Luckman, and Lake. The firm deals in inter-reality finance. As to Logan's present mental state, he could be operating on a very primitive level, simple reaction to stimuli, impulsive survival reflexes of the lizard brain at work. Or the predator might be in there. Okay. Cool. So, more science shit. Get the shit going. You know, full-on Frankenstein shit. I shall not be denied. The will of Apocalypse shall not be denied. Crazy drawing, crazy spread. Cool picture of Wolverine upside down. Is he still in a back to tank? Or is it just weird floating shit? I have no idea. They're worried about an overload. What are the consequences of disaster? He's like, we're talking about meltdown, explosive energy discharge. So if this doesn't go right, oh, hey, this is cool. This must be the metal from what? The adamantium is going to go into him. Oh, staying over here. Some weird shit going in. He's like, what's happening? What's that popping out of him? So they're pumping it. They're pumping the adamantium into him. Oh, and it's popping out here. Oh, that must hurt. Jesus Christ, man. It's the adamantium. He's extruding it out through his pores. They're pumping more into him than his system can take. So the adamantium is already going inside him, but they're giving him too much, apparently. He's like, there's no way he can survive that. And, oh, the bad guys are. And they're like, I wouldn't be too sure. And this fucker, he's like, he shall survive anything. Apocalypse shall walk, and he will be the new Lord Death. So he'll be the Horseman Death, like Archangel was. So that's cool. And that's what Wolverine ended up being 75 issues later. And Cannonball's just going, it's like, this is fucking nuts. We got to do something. How long are we going to sit here? And then she's like, I can't interrupt the process. He has to purge himself of the adamantium before he does what he has to do. So she's like, with like a weird law firm that deals with weird timelines or time flows. I have no idea. And he's like, what are you talking about? Like he's preordained to do something, but she starts phasing out. When Logan defeats the bonding process, that is when you must strike. It's like, defeat it. How's he going to do that? If I don't help him, how's he going to get out of this? So they're like, it's working. The adamantium is sticking to his skeleton. But is he rejecting the brain implants? It would be insanity to have an adamantium-enhanced mutant running around without proper restraint. So if they give him some adamantium, they're not in control of him. He's going to do what he did at Weapon X. He's just going to, like, fuck up everybody. So, but before that happens, like, Cannonball's had enough of it. He's zooming, he's blasting, he's taking out these fuckers. He's like, I can't sit this one out. I'm coming on. I'm going to save the day. I'm like, stop him, Dark Riders. He's destroying the bonding apparatus. So they attack him with their powers, a Force 10 Gale, slam him up against a wall, and they start beating him down there, right? And he, like, Cannonball's talking to Wolverine as he's getting beat up. He's like, I'm so sorry. I gave him my best shot. Forgive me. And Wolverine can hear him, right? And what's going on is he's like, there's a backflow again. They're watching all this, the schematics or whatever. There's like this backflow. He's rejecting the adamantium, and he's rejecting the fucking brain implants that they were putting into him. It's a conscious rejection. And then they're like, the machine is exceeding redline parameters. And it's like, what? It's going to blow. So these guys dive out of the way because they know it's going to fucking blow up. But this fucking dummy right here doesn't. And kabloom. That's a pretty cool shot. Like, you can see, like, this fucking thing exploding. And all these shards of adamantium are just flying through the air. Right? And this guy just takes it. Boom. That's pretty cool. And he, look at this. He fucking falls over dead. And what the fuck is going on here? Jesus Christ. And look at all these pieces of adamantium killed this motherfucker. The adamantium, they say. Ah, yes. Remember Generation X, the one pilot? Never became a show. I mean, not a bad White Queen, and the guy played Banshee there was kind of fun, but show could have been better. It exploded, the shrapnel, he expelled it explosively, like shards of shrapnel. Wolverine, like, what is, like, this is what Wolverine, I mean, we're getting a better shot of it. So Wolverine fucks off really fast. He's like, I gotta get up. Cannonball says, I gotta get up. I gotta get him out of here, but I got something to take care of first. It's cool. Cannonball's like flying at Wolverine. He wants to get him out there, and he like bursts right through the wall to get him out. And he's like, if there's anything still left in there with you, we gotta stop Apocalypse from coming back. We've got to. So, little fucking Genesis, I guess his name. He's like telling him, like, go get them. They're desecrating the chamber. I want their bodies at my feet. So then he's like, he's going to the person who was watching all the controls. She's sitting here, you know, she's at this chair. Her face is in the shadows. And he tells us, like, stop staring at the controls and help chase down the other mutants. And he's like, are you deaf? And he turns her around, but she has some of those shards right through his face. And he's like, this may not be a good thing for me. So it cuts to, really quick, this person here. And they're like, do you sense it? Are you attuned? And he hits her on the head. He's like, there's somebody out there, a warrior. He walked the path, but didn't even know it. He's the enemy of our enemies. He could have climbed the mountain if he had wanted it, and he would have been welcome. She says, he is fallen. Yeah, he is fallen. So it cuts to them really quick, right? Who are they? We'll see. So, kind of this cool, like, this moment. That's a close-up on Wolverine's eye, and you can see the reflection as he's coming up behind this weird fucking lizard creature here. Like, that's him looking down at something. You hear Cannonball basically pleading to Wolverine somehow. He's like, I know you're hurting, but I need you to remember who you used to be. This guy's gonna get fucking Cannonball here. But this hand comes down. I've always liked this drawing. He's gonna grab this tail. And as soon as he's about to get him, he yanked up, right? And then he goes to this guy, whoever the fuck he is. And he's like, you hear a scream. He's like, huh? And like, oh, there you are. He sees the tail. He's like, what was all that screaming? But he uses the tail, like, yanks him up. And he says, I could have sworn that was you screaming. Then he gets yanked up, and somebody says, it's Wolverine up here. He says, it was. And he uses tail to yank him up there. So he's just fucking killing these guys one by one. These two are around. This is a fucking rat. He jumps out. But there's somebody behind him, and they see this guy's face, but it's Wolverine holding up his fucking weird skull mask or whatever. He's like, oh, it's just you. But then he takes out these guys. This is a cool moment. I don't like what happens to Wolverine in this issue, but this little, like, sequence where it's just, like, taking out these guys one by one is cool. So he comes out, he has Cannonball, and he's, like, dragging him to the sarcophagus. He's like, we're going to go to the revival of Apocalypse. Blah, blah, blah. And he says, like, even though they're supposed to be survival of the fittest, I don't think your Dark Riders made the cut, and I don't think you are going to either. And then they look up, and there's Wolverine. Just, like, went full feral. So, when he lost his adamantium, that somehow, with Magneto, that somehow started to make him go feral, right? For whatever reason, comic book logic. So, keeping with that logic, going through this bonding process, they were putting way too much in him, and he rejected it. And in that process, it made him go even more feral. You know, he just looks like a fucking animal. He has these claws here. His claws are coming more at a curve here. And they're like, Wolverine's going to fuck you up. I mean, and Wolverine, I do not like this version of Wolverine. It's kind of an interesting idea. And the way they showed it here in this comic is kind of cool. I kind of liked it, enjoyed it. But as the comics went on, it was just fucking stupid. He wore like a fucking bandana around him, but covered his eyes. It was a dumb ninja mask. I don't know. So Wolverine there, and he's coming down at this fucker. And while they're going to fight, Cannonball's opening up his sarcophagus of Apocalypse. He's like, I'm going to ruin his homecoming. So, get in here on this. And these guys are fighting. He's just basically fucking him up. And this is Genesis talking, and he's just saying stupid shit. Who cares? And he basically just, Wolverine's slashing, just kicking his ass on his back, biting him, throwing him around, just fucking him up because he is the best there is at what he does. So Cannonball opens up the sarcophagus, but there ain't shit in there. It's empty. No Apocalypse. So he's like, either that guy was fucking crazy, Apocalypse was never here, or Apocalypse got up and left by himself. So is Apocalypse alive? Who knows? And then, from behind him, Wolverine says, Sam, he's like, tell Cable I'm sorry about his kid, but he didn't give me any choice. But he's nowhere where he can see him. He's like, aren't you coming with me? He's like, Logan? And he's just gone. He just leaves. And Cannonball says, in more ways than one. So it cuts to, and those two that we saw earlier, that was Stick, and that was Elektra. And he's basically saying, you need to go help him. Only you are someone that can get him out of that funk that he's in. So Elektra was part of the Wolverine comics going forward for a little bit. So, like I said, in the Savage Wolverine, with Elektra and Wolverine, they always had kind of a relationship together. Never romantic, as far as I know, but they're kind of kindred spirits. So that was kind of cool. So that's how it ends. Not a bad issue of number 100. I needed a drink. Take a look at this cover again. But what they did to Wolverine was just kind of stupid. We were all hoping he'd get his adamantium back, and they went the exact opposite. So what are you going to do? So what are your thoughts on this? Did you read this issue? Were you surprised? Were you annoyed as I was? Tell me your thoughts. Leave comments. Share the video. Subscribe. Do all that cool stuff. And thank you again, as always, for watching. See you in the next video.